Law of attraction?
Okay, law of attraction, that's a different journey. That goes
And that's proper woo-woo.
no, it's not. I love the law of attraction.
It is, I'm not saying I don't love it. I'm not giving an opinion in that sense, but it's a bit more out there.
I used to say that. Okay, going back to the law of attraction, many years ago, many years ago, when I was early 20s, I started to work in sales. And so my first job, I had my own sales and marketing company for a while. But going back to even before that, when I worked in sales, there was a book called Think and Go Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yep.
And that book was written in about 1930s. And it was one of the fundamental books on law of attraction. And so without realizing it, I knew the law of attraction back then. Earliest example of the law of attraction, because I do lots of retreats on the law of attraction. I do week-long retreats in Bali. I've always got a retreat on this subject coming up because it's one of the things I like the best. And it's very close to mindfulness, by the way. And so if I go back to when I was 18, so even longer ago, I had a scrapbook. And at that time, I was dating a man. And I had this scrapbook. And in this scrapbook, I started cutting out and putting in pictures of my house that I wanted, my life that I wanted. And so every day I would look at this and cut out pictures from, catalogues. People might not know what catalogues are, but so I started to cut out pictures and stick them into this book, my scrapbook.
Now you do it on Pinterest, but
yeah, I was making a vision board without realizing it. And from that vision board, I began to attract into my life the life I wanted. And so within 2 years, between 18 and 20, I had paid for all the furniture for my brand new house, my wedding, the honeymoon, and the deposit for the house that I moved into when I was 20. I had literally attracted into my life in 2 years everything. And that, you could say woo-woo, but what I was doing at the time, I was working in a laboratory as a lab technician. And when I started to have this book with all of these new freezers, fridges, sofas, whatever it was, and I started to look at this, it begins to go into your mind. And I began to look unconsciously for extra jobs. And that's when I took a job in the evening in sales, working, I think it was from North Thames Traders. They were only selling cars, advertising for cars. And I was good at it. And so the money began to come in very, very quickly.
So it came in because you got another job.
Yes. But this happened without me consciously being aware of it. It was because I was focusing on the end point. And with the law of attraction, you need to know what you want in order to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to know it as much and believe it as much as you know the sun's going to rise tomorrow. You have got to have total 100% faith that what you want is going to be there. And I knew, even though I was
crying. Hold that thought. So, law of attraction. You knew what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And through knowing what you wanted, you were focused. It made you spot the opportunities. You took the opportunities.
Subconsciously.
Yeah.
This happened subconsciously with the law of attraction. And back then, I hadn't even heard of that word, law of attraction. I knew nothing about anything. But the more that I looked into it, and when I started running workshops about 12 years ago on the law of attraction, that's exactly what I used to start to say. I used to start, what I'm going to be talking about today is really out there. And I always used to apologize for what I was about to say.
But it's not that out there.
No, it's not.
Because you're talking about something that some people talk about in a woo-woo way, but you're bringing it back to psychology.
Yeah.
Because you've not actually mentioned the universe. A lot of people would say you're asking the universe, and it's the universe that makes the decision about whether you're going to guess it or not. But you said it's about your mind.
But what you need to know is I think the most important thing when it comes to the law of attraction is your certainty that it is going to happen. You have got to be, I mean, I've got many, many examples that I could talk about when you're talking about this. I'll give you just another couple to illustrate it. And this, when I do my retreats on the law of attraction, they're normally week long, because you need almost that long to actually develop your plan, develop what you're going to do, look at the obstacles. And so there is, a little bit of work involved. Many people, and this is why people think not the universe, law of attraction don't believe. They actually think they can sit there, manifest what they want in their mind's eye, and it will happen. It won't. You have got to put the work in. You have got to actually know what you want and do actions to make it happen. But the difference is, the actions you do because you know it is going to happen.
Okay, so if I want, say, 100 subscribers to the YouTube channel for this podcast, and I use the law of attraction, what would I do?
Okay, the first thing I'd say is, how much do you believe? What time period? You've got to have a time period. How many subscribers by when?
End of October.
End of October. What percentage do you think that's likely? Do you think it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever?
Likely or possible?
I'm going to say, what percentage do you think between 0 and 100 that is actually going to happen?
60.
It's not going to happen.
Ooh!
And the reason it's not going to happen, because it's not going to happen until you believe it 100%.
Okay, so how do I believe it 100%?
What you do is you start to change the way your mind thinks. And so you start to do affirmations, you do lots of self-belief, and you've got to literally, I'm going to say this word in the best possible, you need to brainwash yourself that it will happen.
Okay.
And so you need to give yourself, why do you want 100?
I just plucked it out of, for a discussion point, I just plucked it.
Yeah. Okay, because you go back and you look, why do I want it?
Okay.
And so you can take that journey back and back and back. Some people in the law of attraction word, there's different words. There's the word of manifestation. Yes, there's the word of asking the universe. Yes, there's all kinds of different words that are used. But one of them is heart's desire. I don't know if you've ever heard of heart's desire.
Yeah.
And the heart's desire is, why do you want that 100? And you go back and back and back until you find out what's in your heart's desire. And when you're in your heart's desire, that is the 100% thing that you want that will happen. And I know when I have people coming along to my retreats or workshops, and that's one of the first things I say, and I know the people that said 100% that's what's going to happen and that's what they want, I know they'll get that in that time period. Because if it's only 60%, you don't really want it enough. Think about boiling water. It needs to get to 100 degrees, doesn't it, to boil? And if it's 80%, it almost boils, but not quite. It's hot. If it's 50%, it's getting hot. 60% where you are, I don't know, could I put my finger at 60%? I'm not sure, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
In order for it to happen or manifest, you've got to be at that 100%.
But do you believe something because it's realistic, or does it become realistic?
Doesn't matter.
Believe it.
It doesn't matter, because if you know it's going to happen, mountains will move in order. Or we're going to use the universe here. There, the universe will make that happen and open doors.
Even if it's not realistic.
Yes. If you believe it enough. Okay. An example. Now, again, this is prior to me knowing anything about the law of attraction. So this is going back before. Many, many years ago, again, I've got lots of many, many years ago. But this is one when I worked for Birmingham Mind, and I was going to do a Himalayan trek. It was a fundraising event. And I was doing it with a friend. And so we was walking up the Himalayan mountains, not all the way to Everest or anything like that, but it was quite far. And so there was a fundraising manager that worked for Mind at the time. And so he said, yes, I'll organise it all. Go and start doing the fundraising and start practicing. It's going to happen. So it was ages ago, something like, so I started to walk a lot. I began to practice. I began walking up and down stairs an awful lot, because that's what you do if you're going to do a big one of these mountains. And I did my fundraising to get the required amount. It was getting quite close to the day that we was going to go to India. I hadn't said anything about where we was going, what was going to happen. So it was about 2 months away, and I went and saw him, and I said, "What's happening?" And he said, "Don't worry, it's all in hand. It's all in hand." And I thought, really? People at this stage began to say to me, "It's not going to happen.
Mm.
It's going to happen. You don't even know what airport you're going for. You don't even know who you're going with. It's not going to happen." Well, it got to about a month before I was due to get on that plane. And he still said, "Yeah, leave it with me." That stage, we didn't even have our visas. And so people were again saying, "Forget it, it's not happening." And I thought, I'm walking up that mountain. I knew I was walking up the Himalayas like I know the sun's going to come out tomorrow. And I thought, it's happening. There was no way conceivable it wasn't going to happen. So I went and saw the chief executive myself of Birmingham Mind. And I told the chief executive, "Look, your fundraiser manager hasn't done anything. And I'm supposed to be walking up the mountain on this day." And so he said, "Do whatever it takes. If you want to take lead on it, take lead on it. Get the visas, book the flights. We'll sort everything out for you." And so I did. So I went along, I sorted mine and my friends' visas out. I went and found a group that were doing the Himalayan trek that we could jump onto to go with. And it happened.
But you made it happen.
But I made it happen because it wasn't like it wasn't going to happen. It was definite. Now, Napoleon Hill uses the phrase definiteness of purpose.
So I think what we're talking about is belief then.
Yeah. Belief as well. But things, miraculous things happen as well. Miraculous things, because you have just got to be so determined, but things happen that are uncanny. It's that uncanniness. We create our own world.